Hey, what's shaking, Warfighter Nation? Ron here with Warfighter Ranch and Isaiah 6:8. And today's a bit of a throwback. Today's message is a story about how you can make a difference, even in the slightest of ways. In 2017, I was feeling some pain in my side, and in all honesty, I waved it off for a day or so. I shouldn't have, but I was being stereotypical prideful man, and it very nearly cost me. But there we were. I was holding my side, and Helen was helping me down the long walkway to the ER at the Phoenix VA hospital. I was met with a wheelchair, and Helen wheeled me over to the seating area where I could wait before getting triaged, and by now I was bowed over in pain, and all I could see were the tops of my boots on the footrests. I also noticed in my peripheral that I had been placed directly next to another wheelchair in the open area between the L-shaped rows of conjoined chairs. I mustered my strength in an attempt to sit upright. Helen was taking care of my admissions information, and I had steadied myself. As I steadied myself, I heard an older gentleman say, "Damn, you look rough, soldier." "I've had worse," I replied through gritted teeth. I asked him what brought him in this fine day, and I got caught a bit off guard by his response. "I'm dying," he said, while never losing his smile. "We're all dying, brother," I managed to say, as if it were of some comfort. His angina was acting up, and he thought it would be best to go in for observation. Good call. I glanced up at his OD green ball cap. The golden embroidery was unmistakable. World War II veteran. But what I definitely found astounding was his glider badge pinned squarely on center right through his retiree's crimp. What a rare opportunity to meet this legend of the greatest generation. I got a momentary reprieve from the pain as I was dang near in shock over this absolute blessing. Admittedly, I was pretty stoked. I was in pain, but I would have listened to every word that man had to say until either he ran out of breath or I passed out from the pain, whichever came first. I told him about my grandfather's service during World War II, and he complimented me, saying, "Obviously, I came from good stock. You don't hear that much anymore." He had no family left to speak of, and he lived for going to veterans events. He asked if I had served overseas, and I mentioned Somalia. I can't say here what he thought of the government's non-existent troop support, but he did say if I had my crew over there, we would have just pounded them into submission with paratroopers. God bless them. As always, I was wearing a bracelet. One much like this one right here. In fact, identical to this one right here. It's just a simple infinity braid. Doesn't even have a charm on it. But it was OD green, and he identified with that. I told him what we did, and that all my pieces have names. And he asked what this one was. I replied with, "OD positive, sir," adding jokingly that this is the universal blood type of every warfighter. He laughed out loud, saying, "That's pretty clever, kid." And then I found myself laughing out loud, as no one's called me kid in quite some time. The joke was worth the pain, definitely. Unclasping the buckle from around my wrist, I said, "I think today it probably needs a new name." He said, "Oh yeah, what's that?" And handing it over to him, I simply said, "Yours." And yes, he got the same look on his face that thousands of others have had, and it still gets me every time. Joy, just pure joy. A few minutes later, my name was called, and Helen and I both thanked him for the conversation, and he thanked me for the bracelet. We shook hands and parted ways. It took only a couple of minutes to get settled, but it took the doctor no time at all to tell me that my appendix was indeed about to burst. He immediately gave me some morphine, and 5 seconds later, I forgot everything. That was my first experience with morphine, and I have to say it was a pretty awesome one. I would go on to have an emergency appendectomy within the hour, and I was totally blessed. It could have been so much worse. So off to surgery I went, and the next thing I remember is waking up early the next morning about 04:30. I was sore, but not at all incapacitated. I felt lethargic, but I knew I needed to get up and start walking. I walked around the ward a couple of times, enjoying a cup of coffee with some other recoveries, and we all wandered downstairs. It was a Saturday morning. The Phoenix VA hospital was very quiet that Saturday and allowed for us to roam free range in relative peace. I thought about the old warhorse from The Greatest Generation and prayed that we might meet again one day. This would happen sooner than I expected. I wandered through the hallways in silence, admiring the giant guitar, an enormous sculpture standing 9 feet tall. I can appreciate a fellow artist. I eventually found my way back to the elevator, and I was grateful for the time, but I had an appointment with my pain meds, and I'd learned my lesson about putting things off. I'd been wandering the halls of the VA hospital on Saturday wearing nothing more than a thin robe, you know the one from the designer VA fall collection, and some hospital PJs, and the familiar sound of the tone rang out of the elevator as it stopped on my floor. The elevator doors opened to reveal a formation of sorts. There were no fewer than 8 medical staff standing around a mobile hospital bed with translucent plexiglass raised sidewalls with our nation's colors draped over the side. A sense of solemnity filled the hallway. However, it really didn't dissipate the sense of peace that I had been feeling. I don't subscribe to accidents, luck, or happenstance, and I found myself locking my heels as best I could, wearing slippers. Everyone looked around and gave the bed one last inspection before moving out down the hallway one last time. As they rounded the corner, the flag furled slightly, revealing a crystal clear sight picture for a millisecond, revealing the bracelet. The same one that I had given to a genuine American hero just the day before. Between the meds and the surgery, our encounter in the ER seemed like an entire lifetime ago. And I was once again reminded of what we all must do. Show the people in your life you love them while you can. God bless you guys.